Welcome back, folks, for our Groundskeeper chat series. Thanks for tuning back in. My name is Meg Kruger. I'm the content specialist here at Pioneer Athletics, and today we are very excited to be joined by Nicole Sherry, head op. Mess that up. All right, let me start that over. Head of field operations.
Director of field operations.
Okay, so I was combining the two.
Or just say head groundskeeper.
That's easier.
Yeah, say that.
All righty, perfect. Welcome back, folks, to our Groundskeeper chat series. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Meg Kruger. I'm the content specialist here at Pioneer Athletics. And today we are very excited to be joined by Nicole Sherry, head groundskeeper of the Baltimore Orioles. Hi, Nicole. How's everything going?
Hi, going great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We're so excited to sit down and talk to you, get an update on how things have been. This has definitely been a season of life. So we just want to check in, kind of gauge how things were when things were in limbo, what you guys did while you were waiting for an answer, and then get an update on how things have been going now.
Great. Yeah, so, things started shutting down here in Maryland in the middle of March, and we had our opening day was scheduled for, I believe, March 26th. So we had a lot of the field work completed up until, I'd say, I always give like a 2-week before opening day time frame to have everything done and ready for the guys to come back and play on the field. So about March 16th, we got the word that nobody was allowed to report to work the next day. Everybody was like, what's going on? So then we started getting more information about our offices being closed and everybody being able to work from home. And I was like, well, how do I work from home when my job really entails everything on the field and my crew as well? So as far as getting the field ready, that was ready to go. So we were all up and ready for the season to start. We had a few little loose ends to tie up, but we pretty much shut down with the field ready to be played on when and if they were going to come back at any moment. So fast forward to, this went on for a while, obviously. My grounds crew was told to stay home and not allowed in the building, but myself and my 2 full-time year-round assistants, we were allowed to go in, but only one at a time. Like, so I would work on a Monday, and Andrew would work on Tuesday, Mike would work on Wednesday, so we never interacted with each other just in case the spread of the virus and just limiting how many people were in this big office building at one time. So there were times when, it was pretty lonely when you walk into a ballpark and it's so massive and the city is, a decent sized city. Everything's quiet. Everyone's at home. There's no traffic on the road and you're driving and you're like, oh my gosh, this is nice. I'm making it to work. Well, it wasn't nice, but like in the grand scheme of things, like, made it to work in a half hour as opposed to an hour. And it's like, nobody was there. It was very lonely, so to speak. I like to be not around a lot of people, but also it was way too creepy and lonely to be there by yourself in a building. So there were times when we did big projects on the field that we were able to be together, but we had to, obviously wear masks and social distance. And it was only for really big projects that for safety issues, you had to have somebody else there with you.
Okay, definitely. And I mean, you just touched on a great point, just how we kind of take things for granted, like, oh, I want to be by myself. I kind of like that. But then once it actually happens, it's like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. How did you keep not only yourself positive, but your crew members as things were in total limbo and you didn't have any for sure answers for them?
Right. Well, that was the biggest, complication was like not enough answers. Right. So you have to kind of constantly keep in communication, like, guys, like not for myself, Andrew and Mike, we knew what our direction was from our front office. For the grounds crew, they were really in limbo about, are we going to have a job? How long is this going to last? Like everybody, like it was really uncertain times and still is. And the communication I had to provide to them had to come from direct leadership. And and that information didn't come as fast as you would like it. You know, people didn't know. Our governor was still making decisions. We rent out, the Orioles are in a space where the state owns the building. So everything was driven mainly from the state. So we had to wait for a lot of information. So just communication with the guys saying like, listen, whenever we get up and running, you're still here. We understand if you need to take time to go home and be with your family, understandable, but we'll give you enough notice to get back and get started. And, you know, we did whatever we could to keep the morale going, filling them in on what we were doing at the ballpark without them. And, you know, we all knew that it was going to come back, just a matter of time.
Yep, definitely. And one thing that we've definitely seen on, you know, a local end or maybe even a collegiate end is things were shut down and maybe the higher ups or the decision makers would be like, okay, you're furloughed. We're just going to have a dormant field.
Right.
Did you have any type of that kind of pushback, or were you able to, you know, stress like, hey, the grass doesn't stop growing, you know, we need to be here?
Yeah, that was a huge thing for us to justify our need at the ballpark. So, you know, and I report to the vice president of ballpark operations, and him and I, we have a great relationship where, you know, we were in contact about what was going on for the most part. Obviously, there were things that I wasn't, you know, privy to and what the state was deciding, but I had made it a point to share that, you know, we are or should be considered essential employees. You know, if they're baseball, you have a multi-million-dollar facility, you have to keep it up in some regards, and we'll take whatever steps there are to, you know, be safe when we're in and out on the field. And, you know, we still have to maintain it. It's the growing season, right? It was the growing season for Kentucky bluegrass. So it was growing like crazy. Somebody had to mow it every day. Somebody had to apply fertilizer and preventative chemicals for, you know, weeds and diseases. So I had to kind of relay that, but he got that from our interactions in the past. So they were very supportive. And just like I said, like the rules were that if you didn't have to be with another employee, do that. And that was just for our safety more than anything.
Definitely. And how did the changing time frames kind of impact your maintenance or management plans? You know, were you able to do a project that you had not been able to do, or how did that kind of evolve as the situation evolved?
Well, that was the biggest thing. It's like, okay, we had everything ready for play, right? So we had everything kind of dialed in. There were a few little loose ends that we needed to tie up still, but you go from having a decent sized staff to now only 3 people, and those 3 people aren't even allowed to be with each other. And so you're taking on the responsibility of everything for that day or for those 2 days in a row. So mowing took about 4 hours as opposed to an hour and a half when you have somebody else with you. You can't really, you know, it's laughable because, you know, I was in the minor leagues, and in the minor leagues, you do everything by yourself and you don't have the staff. So it was like going back to the minor leagues and, you know, getting that momentum going and trying to accomplish everything in a short amount of time. And then in the back of your mind, you're like, you know, you have this anxiety about being in the ballpark where you shouldn't be and nobody's around. It was just crazy. And, you know, trying to stay focused on maintaining that field to, you know, the level of expectation that everybody has started to weigh on us as just a 3-person crew, like communication, constantly talking about what we were going to do and when. And it was just, I can't even put it into words really how it was. So my whole thought was doing that is like, okay, I only have 2 acres of turf to maintain by myself, which makes your day really long when you're there alone. I couldn't imagine my colleagues in this industry at colleges or universities or park and rec or high schools that are now by themselves, and how they maintained everything up to the level of standard that we all set for ourselves or our organizations have set.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I thought about a lot.
Definitely. And we definitely as an industry proved to be essential, and then also just you know, we're the adaptable people that we are, you know, adapt to the situation. And, you know, we've seen a lot of innovations and just a lot of um, people that have just taken this head on and made the best of it. And that's what our industry is definitely known for. So
Exactly. Like
let's see.
the biggest thing for us was that we had to let go a little bit of control. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like we were so dialed in to like this high end playing surface. There were things that we had to really like, okay, is that really necessary right now? Let's focus on the main things, knock that out and get home to our families and try to stay safe during the peak of everything. I mean, it's still going on, that's not a doubt, but you know, with things starting to open it up, you get a little bit more sense of normalcy.
Mhm.
Back when it was like not, you weren't really allowed to go anywhere but the grocery store or pharmacy and gas stations. That was a little bit intimidating for sure.
Definitely. So once you guys got the green light that, hey, opening day's happening, summer camp's happening, how did you ramp things up and how did you change your mindset from, okay, you know, we're just taking this day by day to, okay, wow, players are
Yeah,
going to be on this field.
there was not much notice. You know, there was only a week notice to, you know, I have a crew of 30 total, and that's like for a nighttime crew when they come in and they help with the game. But like for my day and evening crew, the essential grounds crew, it was trying to get them to come back home. You know, a lot of them are from all over the country, and some were, you know, took opportunities to do other jobs while they were in limbo. So getting everybody back to Maryland to get ready to report, we had maybe a week to make that happen. And then like my game staff is more high school kids, like 15 to like 20-year-olds, early college age, and getting everybody on board to come back, because now you're not only dealing with the individual person, you're dealing with the family, and do they have any concerns about their child coming back to work, or, you know, how are we going to stay safe, how are we going to make that happen?
Mhm.
Then you throw in spring training 2.0, which is like, hey, by the way, we're going to have 60 guys come play on this field for 30 days in a row. And my mind was going like, well, how do you accommodate that? How do you accommodate 60 people every single day? And you're dealing with, you know, set up for batting practice, simulated games, inter squad games, 60 guys running on just one field, whereas in spring training they have multiple fields to you know, accommodate their
Mhm.
needs. And the right equipment that we have, getting your staff back into like the mode of doing all this after they've been seriously like off for like 3 months
Yeah.
was a big challenge. And then nobody ever thought about the weather. Like, how am I going to accommodate a rain situation? Am I going to have 26 guys and girls on for, you know, that whole day to accommodate any rain situation so they can get their work in? Like, it was really exhausting, challenging, and it was not fun.
Not pretty.
It was exciting to see it back, you know, to get some normalcy back, to see the guys on the field, and everybody was really excited about that. But for us as a grounds crew, they were considered tier one. The players are considered tier one employees. So
Mhm.
me being a tier two employee and my staff being tier three, we weren't allowed to go near the players.
Yeah.
So how do you get cages and screens and mats down on a 2-acre field and not be around 60 other people and wear masks? And it was just, I could go on and on for how many challenges there were, but you know, we were all trying our best, and we got through it. Um, Another challenge for spring training was the weather. It went from a beautiful spring and great growing weather to 100 degrees for 30 days straight with no rain.
Wow.
Yeah, so hardly any rain. And you know, they were on the field from 9 o'clock in the morning sometimes until midnight.
Yeah.
So there was very minimal chances of us getting out there and doing the cultural practices that we needed to do to keep going.
And so, I mean, after all of that, that's definitely a lot to unpack. Like, how are things now? How's the field holding up, and how's the crew holding up? Does everyone have a pulse? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think the crew is in good spirits. I mean, we went seriously like almost 40 days straight of no break, no days off, because whenever the team took a day off, there were still some guys coming in to throw. We were still trying to do the maintenance that we needed to do. The grass had suffered severely from the 100 degrees and the constant wear and tear from heavy traffic. That now I think we had maybe 5 days to get it back in shape for the new opening day. So that was a big challenge. So the field looks awful. I mean, for on TV, it looks great. His TV does hide a lot of the imperfections, but like when you walk out there, you're like, oh my gosh, this is what heavy use does to a field. And this is a chance for me in this industry and maybe others in this industry to really show the people that don't understand what we do on a daily basis that this is what happens and this is what we can plan for in the future. Maybe new seed, new sod. It's gonna help, I hope, in a lot of ways what we just all experienced.
Definitely. So what are some of the biggest lessons that have emerged from this experience for you and your crew?
I think the biggest thing is well, that's a tough one, Meg. A lot really has come through all this. Staying calm a little bit more, and taking things with a little bit of grain of salt where initially, like if you go pre-COVID, you were like, oh my gosh, I got to get that piece of paper off the field. Like you really try to focus on what's more important and let go of control a little bit. And that's what we all did. We kind of like took it down a notch and said, this is better than not being able to be out here in this playing on the field and doing what we do. And we're thankful and grateful to still have a position and just putting things into perspective, slowing down a little bit, and enjoying the fruit of your labor. You know what I mean? Getting to watch spring training and watch these kids. They're like, 20-year-old kids that are going to be the future of baseball, develop their skills on your field was pretty cool.
No, that's definitely amazing. And again, just a testament to how relentless everyone in this industry is. And,
Yeah.
The world experienced for a short while there what it looked like to not have sports. And I hope everyone takes the time to realize that, groundskeepers and field operators, they're the ones setting the stage for these events. And
Yeah.
we bring that entertainment, and it's become a necessity. It's become essential for all of our mental health to have sports and to have things like this to keep us positive during these times. And so I guess, you've definitely touched on so many great things. I guess the only thing else I would want to ask is, do you have any advice or turf tips to maybe, a groundskeeper that you mentioned that is managing all of this on their own, or they've got one field that is being used because that's all they, have the time to prepare? Is there any, turf tips that you've come out of the situation for high traffic or for fields that are exposed to a lot of high traffic during this time?
Yeah, I think back in when it first started happening, we were shut down for about 3 months, and just a few of us were only allowed in the ballpark. There were things that we really tried to focus on, and that was, I think, if I could share anything with and a lot of groundskeepers already know this, but for our baseball schedule, we didn't get to do this enough, like in the past. If it was pre-COVID and a normal baseball schedule, to aerate as much as possible, to like get some oxygen into that root zone, especially in the high trafficked areas, like just needle tine, something light to poke holes to get that compaction broken up a little bit. That helped us, I think, survive until this day. If I could do it more, if I could rewind a little bit, I don't want to go back to those days, but like if I could rewind, I'd probably do it a lot more often than we chose to. So aeration, if you can justify. And I think this is going to open the doors the situations that we were all in as an industry is going to open doors for communication. So now's the time to really have those conversations with your direct boss or, your upper management about your needs and what the field's needs are. And, maybe they will see it now more than ever, how essential we really are to make sure the operations, go on flawlessly.
Definitely. No, so many great points there. And we really appreciate you taking the time to unpack that and kind of relive that time, even though it may have been painful.
Yeah, it was really painful and really lonely. Like I don't know, like I started thinking about our fans, and a lot of people would be posting about how much they missed baseball and everything, and I was like, God, I miss the fans, even though they're new faces every day. Like I really did miss that kind of atmosphere, and even though we're behind the scenes all the time and like to stay that way, I miss that energy, and it was definitely almost haunting, like to be in a ballpark and watching a game with no fans.
Yeah, definitely. And I
Yeah.
hope sooner than later we can all, come back and experience it all together. But for the meantime, we definitely all appreciate what you and people in the industry are doing to pull this off to make sure that we can have some form of normalcy.
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. We really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, and I think everyone will definitely get some great pullaways from this.
I hope so. Thank you
Awesome.
so much, Meg.
Yeah, no problem. We'll keep an eye out for those shots of your field, and we'll make sure to keep the secrets under wraps.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it looks rough, but
No, no, I'm sure it's great. Thank you so much.
thank you.